hit the trigger point with the needle to create a response, help out as many people as we can, and make it easier, make people's lives better, improve their quality of life. Doing other modalities like this, cupping, dry needling. Yeah, well, that's our job, is to try and make things a bit easier and try and be a one-stop shop. But in a way, you're like ripping muscle fibers and then they heal better. So therefore, release the muscle, relax it, and also promote blood flow to the area to enhance the recovery process.
Okay, into the thick of it.
Let's roll.
Alexi, how are you today?
I'm good, my man. How are you?
Good, good. So we're here with Alexi. We're going to be going through a couple questions. He runs Diverse Myotherapy. So I want to find out a little bit about you, a little bit about your business, how long it's been around. So give us a little bit of the spiel on, where'd you start, how long it's been going for, and where you are now.
Awesome, yeah. So basically how I got into doing what I do, being a myotherapist, I was very active growing up. So played a lot of sports, mainly soccer. And I felt like specifically for my injuries with soccer, myotherapy was the best kind of treatment that I responded well to.
Yep.
And ever since receiving treatment, I was always fascinated how the body functioned, how we operate, everything about it pretty much. And I just kind of fell into it that way. And I always kind of I knew I always wanted to do something involving sport. So the rest is, I guess, history in terms of like, that's how I got into it. But I've been treating for over 10 years, 10 years this year. Wow. So yeah, time flies. So I basically worked at a few clinics, first 3 years of my career, and then essentially, started my own thing, and here we are. Yeah.
So a few clinics, and when did you open up your own space?
So I started off renting a room inside of a gym, and then eventually got to the point where the goal was always to get my own place.
Yep.
And I reached that goal probably a bit sooner than I thought, but then found the place here. At the start, we only had the bottom floor, so we only had 2 rooms, but now we've expanded, and now, as you can tell, we have the top floor now, so which is cool. Got a few more extra treatment rooms, and also being able to offer more modalities like the recovery stuff and the rehab stuff with the little gym we have as well.
Beautiful. So, and I think I came to you when it was pretty much just you, and now you got a bit of a team, so got a few people, offer a few more services. So what are the kind of the services that you offer? Yeah,
so basically we're still strictly a myotherapy remedial massage clinic, so mainly they're the main things we kind of offer to help people in that regard. But we do now, like I said, have the gym, so where we can definitely help in the rehab side of things, and not just on the table, off the table as well. So getting people back on track as soon as possible. And then also with the recovery modalities we have, just to speed up the process, and for our clients that respond well to it, they've definitely been using it and getting good responses from it too. Yeah,
beautiful. It sounds like a bit of an all-in-one kind of facility, because I think sometimes, like obviously I work with a lot of allied health professionals, and we will talk to each other and whatnot, but if you've got a place that can do treatment, rehab and recovery,
well, that's our job, is to try and make things a bit easier and try and be a one-stop shop. But always myotherapy and remedial massage treatment side of things will be number one, but it's always good to have the extra things as well.
Perfect. So obviously you put with a group of people, you put with physios, chiros, as in allied health professional, osteos. So you've kind of mentioned why myotherapy was the thing that stood out to you the most. What kind of differentiates you, do you feel, from, let's say, just a typical physio or anything like that?
We're more tailored and more specific to musculoskeletal issues, pathologies, dysfunctions, or anything muscle related. So essentially think of myo, think of muscle. So generally people respond well to that, because a lot of the time, muscles can get affected with, regards to certain injuries or majority of injuries. So I just find that, we're different in that approach, because we're more muscle based, but also, that's what we do.
Perfect. Sounds good. And you've got a couple of different methods that you might not get with other professionals.
Definitely.
Take us a little bit through a couple of your methods. I know I've been, it looked like an octopus has attacked me after one of our sessions before, but
man.
Take us a little bit through
definitely.
that.
Well, look, massage is the main modality of what we do, but also do things that help. Cupping, dry needling, a bit of scraping, electrotherapy, specific, taping, depending on what's going on as well. They're the kind of main modalities what we do, but yeah, that's that. Yeah.
And I think most of the people would know, or they've experienced cupping, especially, and the needling.
Yeah.
What do they do? Like, explain to people what they actually do.
Yeah, so basically, with the needling, we're just trying to release the muscle essentially. So what you call knots, proper words called trigger point, and we're just trying to essentially hit the trigger point with the needle to create a response. So most likely a twitch response to therefore release the muscle, relax it, and also promote blood flow to the area to enhance the recovery process.
Okay, cool.
So that's needling. Cupping, basically via the suction, it stretches out tight tissue, brings blood flow to the area too, but also helps mobilize the tissue and just decompress the tissue as well.
Yeah.
So, both.
Amazing.
All the good stuff.
Amazing. So obviously that's a little bit about your services. Now I guess coming up and getting things set up, like, you're a business owner as well. So we've spoken about your services that you use your hands for, but behind the business as well. There's a lot of stresses that may arise. There's a lot of sleepless nights, but I know you've got a family, things like that.
Yeah.
How did the support and the people around you help with this? You getting to where you are.
Definitely. Well, it's hard to do things all your own. I'm sure you can understand that. So definitely having a good support, like my wife's been huge, and good people around you. Like, got a good accountant, he's looked after me too.
Need one of those.
Family, especially when I was setting up fitting out the shop. Family all came in, hands on deck. Setting up and fitting it out the way we wanted it to. Just you do your best to do to juggle everything, and one thing at a time. As long as you have a goal, I feel like it's doing your best to try and achieve it. That's important.
Perfect. Yeah. You need, like, the support system, and the reason behind we're doing this is to help people understand and see the common interests in what people needed to go through with building their business. Because you do feel alone a lot in the process. But speaking to you and a lot of other people who have very similar stories, where people will be like, oh, I can actually go reach out to people and speak to them through it. So that move from your own space to from working out of a room to your own space, big jump. Scary jump sometimes.
Definitely.
Take us through a little bit there. What was going through your head? Did you think you're going to be doing as well as you are now and busy? And
yeah, well, I know it might sound cliche, but like, I always believed, like, I believe I'm good at what I do, and I knew that if I just went in 100%, I know I would do well. Look, thankfully, a lot of the clients from the gym where I was working followed me here. But I feel like being in the gym, it kind of limited me, to who I could see, like, in terms of clientele. Like, a lot of people, were a bit intimidated to walk into a gym to come see me, So, for example, like elderly clients or, just clients in general. So I feel like coming to this space, it was open for everyone. So, not only just elderly clients, but also, everyday people, athletes, we even treat, like, adolescent, teenagers and stuff like that as well. So I feel like, it was a bit of a jump, and it probably, like I said, happened a lot sooner than I thought. But, due to, circumstances, it is what it is. That's what happened. But, I'm glad I'm here, because it forced me to go all in and just build it from the ground up.
Kind of sometimes you just need to do that. You just need to go all in. It's going to be some stressful days, but you think differently when your back's up against the wall. So
definitely, no choice.
Those awards on the front door, obviously. Thank you for it. So talk us a bit about theirs. You got a few. I've seen a few awards. You've got the community voted awards.
So like the word of mouth rewards, I guess, is mainly because we've got a lot of good 5-star Google reviews and reviews in general. So obviously, if you get X amount of reviews, you qualify to getting the yearly award, and we've had it for 7 years straight now. So
how do I get in on it? I need to learn how to get in on this. I know I've come to you for my own back, issues and things like that. Can you tell us a little bit through, I guess, when people should come see you? If people leave it too late, like what's the general?
Well, I feel like people that aren't really in tune with their body, they kind of leave things last minute because they think little niggles and stuff might pass, and sometimes it might, sometimes it might not. But I generally believe it's probably better to get on top of it early on. So obviously to avoid the issue exacerbating, getting worse, and making our life a bit harder. Vice versa. But it's okay. I would say that's definitely the go.
And the importance of you do your work on the table. Obviously, you've got the gym space now. But a lot of work has to get done outside
100%.
of the room as well. So, what would you typically advise people when they leave their treatment rooms? I know you've given me a few exercises to do outside. So, explain why you do that.
Look, it's important because usually, there's a pattern to pain or, when someone has an issue. So we've got to work out what that is. That's, finding the cause is always, that's, generally the answer to, most situations. So we've got to find what's causing it, modify a few things, and then what we do in treatment definitely it gives us a window to be able to do the exercises that, need to be done to correct whatever's going on, pain-free and easier.
Yep.
So therefore, we can get you back on track quicker.
Yeah, it's kind of like temporary relief, but then, treating the root issue as well. Now, I know, again, my back leads into my neck and stuff, and I've been told sometimes stress can get held in the neck. So stress, pain, how does that kind of...
100%, yeah. So a lot of the times when people are stressed, they carry without realizing that, they'll be, shrugging their shoulders and tensing, even tensing their jaws, and, their muscles get tight and all the rest. So definitely when people are stressed and, their nervous system's heightened, it can lead to, further tension headaches, for that area particularly, and just in general, yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty wild to see, especially like when you've treated on me. It's like you've made me turn over to also treat my back, and realizing where muscles actually connect and where like the, I guess, release points and things like that are. The way the body works is pretty amazing. Probably seen as with the modern day, a lot of work is getting done behind computers. If I speak to my grandparents, it's standing up in the fields all day kind of thing. So how has pain and how has your treatments kind of changed for like the more modern type of injuries or pain?
It's a good question. So definitely, like you said, it's a very, sedentary kind of lifestyle most people have, in their work environments and stuff like that. So generally when people are sitting, all day, and when they're in the zone, they're not moving as much. And when you're not moving as much, that's when things can definitely worsen, muscles get tight, weak, all the rest. So definitely treating a lot of people with, the classic back, neck, shoulder issues when they're kind of rounded their shoulders.
Exposing right now.
Yeah, even myself too, I know. So definitely I'd say, it's more that sedentary kind of lifestyle, and like we treat a lot of desk workers and people that sit a lot.
What's some tips you would give people in those positions? It's not going to be like specific, but people generally sit at a desk all day. What's something that you would say to maybe move their body or something like that?
Definitely. Well, look, obviously, stretching, moving more is definitely ideal. So, trying to break up the cycle and the pattern of sitting for, hours on end. So, getting up every half an hour or so, have a glass of water, a bit of a stretch. Long term, you'd probably definitely want to try and strengthen the back, upper back, shoulder muscles, even the neck muscles too. And then essentially, just, get a treatment here and there.
Get on.
Yeah.
Exactly. So now we've come here because I want to highlight and spotlight your amazing skills. So I don't know how much censorship we have to do here to cover my body, but we'll go through a little bit of a treatment. You can show everyone kind of some of the things you do, and then maybe put me to the test with what I might be allowed to touch. I see all my hands just running wild. We'll go through a few more questions as I'm laying down, but we'll highlight your skill.
Too good, man. Awesome. Done. Let's go.
So with like a lot of the pains that people might experience, what's some of the process that you might go through when you're trying to find the actual root to the pain?
Good question. So definitely it depends on what's the issue. So, for example, if someone has lower back pain, a lot of the times it stems from the hips or the glutes when they're not as strong as they need to be. So then the lower back takes more of the load. So, I would recommend, some glute strengthening exercises and some, possibly some core exercises as well to kind of help balance it all out. So then the lower back doesn't take more of the load. But like I said, it kind of depends on the issue and what they're presenting with. But through certain testing and, obviously, strength testing as well, you can definitely identify what's the imbalances and the weaknesses that occur.
And with the recovery side of things, and I'm asking because I've obviously experienced this, but you've obviously got the gym where you might do your one-dimensional type movements. What about a bit more dynamic movements and functional movements? Like, is it something that you typically would, put in someone's recovery or rehab type of motions?
Totally. Like, look, it's awesome to be strong and, bring that stability, but also the mobility and the flexibility is just as important in my opinion. You need a good balance of both in my opinion. So definitely, like, you can be the strongest man in the world, but if you can't, for example, touch your toes, or if you can't move as well as you need to, then it's kind of, not pointless, but it kind of defeats the purpose in a way.
Yeah. because your body just wants to stay comfortable, right? So just naturally, it will put pressure on other joints so that your body can keep operating. So I guess that's where a couple of the weak points, like where your body's overcompensating and you'll feel it in your knee or your ankle or your hip or your back. And just talking from experience a little bit, like
Yeah,
that's it kind of works in a bit of a triangle. Like it went from my left ankle to my right knee to my left back
definitely.
to my right something.
Yeah, yeah.
So it is a process, but
Yeah.
obviously these treatments and stuff are important to maintain. Would you say there's a couple like habits that you might recommend to people that could remove or eliminate or reduce a lot of chronic pain that people experience?
Definitely, yeah. So there's probably a few, like a bit of a general question, but there's definitely it applies to a lot of it. I would say so. I'd say moving more or moving correctly. So a lot of people don't move enough, and as we were saying before, as we touched on, so people live that sedentary kind of lifestyle, like they'll work at the desk all day and then they'll go home and not be active, and then kind of sit and watch TV or just sit and not do much. So generally, moving more is I would say the answer. And I guess more long term as well, and as studies kind of indicate and show, you want to do some form of strength training. I feel some form of resistance training to kind of support your muscles, your joints, your bones, and your bone density and all the rest. So definitely, I believe that's a big part of it too for longevity.
Would you say there's like a big mistake or something that people might make after a treatment?
Yeah, look, I generally advise my clients after treatment not to do anything too strenuous, just to maximize the benefits from the treatment, allow the body to recover and heal. A lot of people, can definitely, still train or still do like a hard session or whatever, and it's not the end of the world. But like I said, I feel like it's just generally better to, still you can still move, but like not do anything too strenuous and just allow things to recover.
Yeah, of course. And you might hear people. Do you feel people might commonly feel a little bit of pain over the next 24 to 48 hours after a session?
Yeah, definitely. It's normal to be a bit tender next day or two for sure, depending on how hard you've gone, and also I feel as if when sometimes you do dry needling as well, it can feel a bit tender as well. So definitely it's normal. It's not a bad thing. Anything more than two or so days is probably not ideal, but yeah, I'd say 1 or 2 days is fine.
Yeah, similar to like DOMs in the gym
Exactly.
and stuff. Just to reassure people if they do feel a little bit of pain the next few days, can you kind of explain what it might be? Is it just like some muscle, like tenderness and stuff like that?
Yeah, definitely. So like, it can be just like it's, controlled inflammation in a way. So like, especially if we've done dry needling or, if we're targeting a specific area through massage and stuff, where essentially, in a way you're like ripping muscle fibers and then they heal better, if that makes sense. So you're promoting that controlled inflammation response, and then therefore it's, beginning the healing process.
With this type of work, how do you keep yourself and your hands and your body healthy to perform these type of works?
Yeah, so good habits, especially learning them on early on, is essential in my opinion. So evenly distributing your body weight and not putting direct pressure on your hands and your wrists and your arms. So like lunging into things, using your body weight evenly, very important. Doing other modalities like this, cupping, dry needling, definitely can save your hands and getting in there as long. So I definitely believe that. But also I feel as if as well, more long term, regular strength training, getting treatments myself, practice what I'm preaching, doing my regular stretching, mobility work, all that kind of comes into play and plays a huge role into longevity.
A lot of people will try a bunch of allied health professionals and they probably lose a bit of trust depending on the person. How do you kind of gain that trust with clients to believe in what you're saying?
Yeah, definitely. Well, yeah, communication, as I was saying, I feel like that's key. So you want to make it clear what's the intentions, what's the goals, in terms of receiving treatment, and what's the plan going forward. Definitely, everyone has something that works for them. So regarding treatment, whether it is, whatever it is. So I feel as if, explaining what we do and obviously performing what we do, and obviously if it makes a positive change, and that's a good thing. But definitely, we can't fix and help everyone, and I'm sure the same would be for other health professionals as well. But definitely making it clear from day one what we can do and just creating that plan.
Yeah, amazing. Like you said, communication is going to be key, and just helping people understand the process. Like people sometimes go into it pretty dark and blinded. So, I think that's something that you're really, really good at. Now, last question I kind of want to ask, you got any future plans and what does, success is different for everyone.
Yep.
But what's it like to you? And then tell us if there's any future plans. You've obviously just, expanded to upstairs and whatnot.
Yeah.
What's it kind of looking like for you?
Yeah, so basically, look, just want to, help out as many people as we can and, just make it easier, make people's lives better, improve their quality of life by making them pain-free and all the rest. To be honest, me personally, just having a little one not too long ago, I want to spend as much time as I can with him and my family. So definitely, I love what I do, but at the same time, it would be nice to work less going forward and not have, myself kind of doing majority of what goes on here.
We kind of live in a world right now with social media and trends and things like that. Is there anything that kind of excites you with what's coming up in the industry?
Yeah, so basically it's, there's, how the world is this day and age, like we have so much access to videos, information, all the rest. Obviously that goes with good and bad in terms of, there's a lot of incorrect stuff, and a lot of things that probably aren't quite 100%. But I feel like it's exciting because, we're seeing a lot of, things on social media, people getting creative and putting the good information out there, in a creative way. And I feel like it's, what we do, we do get creative, with things. And I feel like it's an important thing just to have that aspect of things and, being able to have access to information like that.
Yeah, of course. And I've seen you trying to hit a bit of social media a bit more and stuff lately. How do you find that all going?
Oh man, it's to be honest, I find it quite fun. It's like it's cool to post all the educational side of things and all the rest, but to post a few meme stuff or the stuff that adds a bit of humor, I feel like I have a bit of fun with it, and like I said, you get a bit of creative with it, and it's a lot of fun.
Yeah, 100%. I think because you're wearing so many different hats, right?
Yep.
Obviously, marketing, social media is all going to be a part of one of those hats.
Yeah.
You got to make those more activities that aren't as enjoyable somewhat more enjoyable.
Yeah, exactly.
And it kind of shows in your content. Even the one I saw the other day of you and Tristan going deeper, and he's pretty much doing a backflip.
Yeah.
To get it through. So I think that's just a key element, with it all.
Definitely. Well, keeping it exciting, like I said, mixing it up, and you got to add a bit of personality to it too. People nowadays, they'll search you up before they come to the clinic, for example. They'll look at us on Instagram, social media, whatever. And I feel like having that personality to it, it adds to it, and definitely keeps it exciting.
Yeah, social media is like the new website in a way.
Yeah, pretty much.
There's obviously going to be a lot of recovery tools and stuff out there. Is there any that's just underrated?
It's tough because, like I said, it kind of relies on the person, how they respond to certain things. But definitely, I'd say the cold plunge, the heat therapy. So doing them both at the same time, like the contrast therapy. So for example, going in the sauna for 10-15 minutes, then hopping out, whether it's having a cold shower or diving into like a cold plunge pool. I feel like you probably get the best bang for your buck doing that. But to be honest, I wouldn't say it's a tool, but the most important thing would probably be sleep. Good food and sleep. If that's not under control, all the other things aren't really going to matter too much. It
all kind of starts from there, eh?
Basically. All right, man. All right. So it's pretty simple, dude. So roll up the shorts there. So I'm going to create the flame.
Create the fire. You already put it in gas?
Yeah. All right. So now, basically, you put it in for a second or two. 1, 2. Put it on, and then creates a suction.
Is this alright?
Yeah.
So, give me a cup. Can I put on the fire?
Yeah,
or you better? Or
no,
is it better you do?
Dude, it's fine. You'll be alright. Don't be scared. Yeah.
So 1, 2.
1, 2. Then just put it on yourself.
Wait, where do I go in here?
Yeah.
1, 2.
Blow it out now. There you go.
There we go. That looked cool. I would look cool.
Man, do you want a job?
Yeah, no, I'm ready. Oh, beautiful.
And then easy, just pop it off.
Oh,
There
that's
you
a
go.
cool sound.
Yeah.
No, I'm joking. All right, perfect.
Awesome, man.
Well, thank you very much. That's you.
No worries, man. All
Thank
cleaned
you
up.
very much for having us in today.
No
It was
worries, man.
great speaking to
Always
you
a
and
pleasure.
getting the treatment
And
and finding out a bit more information about you and your business.
I appreciate you coming down, and yeah, it's always a pleasure to see you, man.
Thank you. If you found this valuable, make sure you follow along for the rest of our 30 for 30 series. And if you want to get in contact with this business, see the details below.